Hello, good evening. Welcome to our Red Tara practice and contemplation group. I hope everybody's well tonight. We're contemplating this incredible book, Change of Heart, compiled from Chagdud Rinpoche's teachings by Lama Shenpen, two incredible enlightened beings. We're in the chapter on precious human birth, and tonight is a very intense topic, which is the topic of suicide. Because the question here is, I have a friend who is so unhappy that she often thinks of killing herself. She definitely does not see her human life as precious. So Rinpoche responds, it is difficult for us who live in prosperous countries to fully grasp how fortunate we are. If we really understood our great fortune, compared with that of other humans and non-humans, the thought of suicide would never arise in our minds. The mind has tremendous powers of magnification. When some little thing doesn't go our way, we can magnify it and see it as a big deal. Obsessing on it from morning to night, we become more and more agitated, and our aversion grows. If we are grazed by an arrow, that slight wound isn't so bad. But we tend to pick up the arrows of our experiences and stab ourselves with them over and over. How could this have happened to me? Why did he do that? Our wounds become part of our meditation. We touch them, rub salt in them, and obsess over them. Such self-centeredness, combined with feelings of powerlessness, increasingly disturbs the mind. The more we dwell on our problems, the worse they become. Viewed under a microscope, a tiny crack in a teacup looks like the Grand Canyon. Similarly, when we obsess about our problems, they can seem so insurmountable that death appears to be the only option. But your friend does not understand that if she throws her life away, it will be very, very difficult to find such a fortunate rebirth again. Suicide is not an escape into a peaceful oblivion, but rather leads to only greater suffering. We don't want to be like a blind sheep seeking a better pasture when we are already in the best one. Acting out of aversion to this life, attachment to death, and ignorance of the consequences of suicide, we will find that the only doorways left open are those leading to lower realms, the animal, hungry ghost, and hell realms. No matter how bad our life is, suicide is like jumping out of a pan into the torture of a blazing fire. Maybe you can help your friend think about it in another way. If we are sick, focusing only on our illness will soon make us feel twice as bad. Just by taking our mind off our condition, we will feel partially cured. Looking beyond ourselves to contemplate the suffering of others will help put our situation in perspective and allow us to appreciate our good fortune. We can break the fixation on our problems and lead the mind out of quicksand of self-interest through compassion and prayer. I personally, last month, had a friend who was was very mentally ill. And he saw no way out. And I would talk to him every day. And the only option that he saw was to take his own life. I encouraged him to call the suicide hotline, which he did, but it didn't seem to help him. But above all, I kept hammering on him the importance of getting psychiatric attention. Every time I spoke to him, I would say, my friend, please seek help. You need to go to a doctor. And sometimes he would yell at me, stop saying that, shut up. He didn't want to hear it. But every time I spoke to him, I kept repeating it. And I told him, I said, we're in this dance that you're telling me how you want to end your life and that there's no hope. And I am telling you that things can get better, but you need psychiatric help. You need psychological help. And ultimately, on top of that, you need to find your spiritual path. But first things first, you need medical attention. So we were in this dance every day. And I told him, I said, you need to know one thing. I'm never going to give up. I'm going to outlast you. So let's just stop this dance now. And you need to go to the doctor. And eventually, thanks to the Buddhas, thanks to also he had a sister who was very involved. He had another friend very involved. The three of us started communicating between us so that we could kind of close any loopholes and be stronger, united. We got him to a doctor. He started and stopped the medication 2 or 3 or 4 times because it said it didn't make him feel well. But we kept insisting, just, you have to push through. There's going to be an adaptation period. It takes a month for the medication to work in your system. So here we are a month later, and I'm happy to report that he's well. He was homeless during that time. He was living in his car by his own choice. For no reason at all, he gave up his apartment and was in his car. Now he's back in an apartment. He's working and he's doing well. He's also going to a therapist. And he also told me that he's become involved with a Christian prayer group, which thrills me. We live in a time, Chagdud Rinpoche said, these medications that are available to us today, they're not perfect, but they're an expression of the bodhisattvas. Sure, we can worry about big pharma, making money, abusing the system, over-prescribing to people, but they are miraculous. There are a lot of people that if it wasn't for medication, they couldn't function otherwise. And maybe in a case like my friend, maybe he doesn't have to take the medication forever. Maybe just getting his life back on track, going to therapy, meditating, praying, taking better care of his body and his mind. Maybe with the help of his doctor, he can slowly reduce the medication and get off of it. So if you have a friend or a loved one that is talking about taking their life, from my experience, support them, be there for them, listen to them, and every time you talk to them, tell them that there is a solution. But the first step is they need medical and psychiatric care. And after that, and tell them it doesn't have to be forever, just to break the cycle. And do everything you can to get them to receive medical psychiatric care. That's the first step. Then the second step is you work on therapy and the spiritual aspect, because that's necessary, because there's underlying issues that need to be addressed. But when it's an emergency, they need medical care.